My name is Raul Baugh. I'm one of the assistant instructors here at the Lohan School of Shaolin, focusing on Northern Shaolin, Southern Shaolin, Tai Chi, Qigong, Xingyi, Baugh, and also doing lion dance and other traditional styles of Kung Fu. Pretty much born into the martial arts, into the Kung Fu style. My father was lucky to be one of the first non-Chinese to start studying Kung Fu at a young age. Back in the 60s, you pretty much had to be strictly Chinese to learn Kung Fu. And my dad just happened to be growing up around the Chinatown area of downtown Los Angeles, and just happened to be around all these great Kung Fu masters during the 60s and 70s, and he was just one of the lucky few to be one of the first people to start learning traditional Chinese Kung Fu. So I practically grew up around it, and for my whole life I just was watching martial art demos, watching martial arts in action, and just kind of grew up in a Kung Fu school. And it was kind of weird because my whole life I thought that every parents did that. Every father did martial arts and did Kung Fu. So it was kind of weird when I would go to a friend's house and, okay, oh, your father doesn't know how to fight or doesn't do martial arts, or doesn't know how to spin kick and, you know, jump off and spinning aerial flying jump kick. But yeah, I kind of practically was born with it. Is, you know, my earliest experiences is watching people doing Kung Fu and fighting with stabs and doing that kind of stuff. But I've been doing it pretty hardcore here for like the last 10 to 12 years. I kind of started late, when I was 18. It took me a while to get into it because my father did it for years when I was growing up. And so when you grow up, you got that rebellious stage of your life, and I just wanted to shun away from it and didn't want to have anything to do with Kung Fu. But finally, when I started getting older and when I started kind of getting more exercise and just kind of getting more, learning more about myself, and I was like, all right, now's a good time to start learning Kung Fu. So I started learning Kung Fu. I love teaching. I love being an instructor. I love being part of it. And it's kind of funny to see how we've grown here in our school. We started off with 4 of us in a garage, and now we've grown to having 300 people signed up, with about 70 people, pretty strong, doing it regularly. Yeah, I love teaching it. Right now I kind of focus on the little guys. I teach like the little kids, you know, usually starting up anywhere between 4 or 5 years old, going to about 12, and then usually when they get past 12, they can go into the more adult stuff. But I love the little guys. I love seeing their progression. I love seeing the smiles on their faces and how into it they are. Just showing them a little bit of it and just kind of enthusiastic about it. And you see them practicing and kicking and jumping, and on the way home and on the way out the door, they're still punching and kicking and thinking about it. And it's really good. It's seeing their change. You can see how timid they can be at first when they first start off, and then after a while they can kind of like a little more in tune with themselves. They're in tune with their bodies. They know what they're doing. They're kicking, they're punching. They can tell the left from the right. They can just get really motivated with it. And I like seeing the young guys doing it, and just seeing them in action is so cute. That is just the way they're doing it is, you know, like moving, kicking, punching, just doing the stuff that the adults are doing. It's pretty trippy to see those little guys in action. They're real funny. But I like doing the forms. I like being a part of the traditional style. I grew up around the traditional style and kind of seeing what's progressed to, and now with the influx of wushu being really popular in America right now, and especially in the movies, and it's kind of hard for traditional schools, traditional styles to really flourish, especially in movies, because in the movies now you want to see the guys who have the flashiest movements, who can do the craziest looking aerial kicks. But I don't know, on our style we like to focus on the fundamentals and focusing on a little bit more realistic situations for traditional styles, which is kind of hard now because you got, on the flip side, you got wushu, which is flashy, it's showy, it's good for demonstrating, and it's good for showmanship. But then on the other side, you got mixed martial arts, which is also really big right now, and you got people saying, oh, it's about practicality, it's all about practicality, and you got wushu, it's all about gymnastics and flash and showmanship. And I think with our traditional style, we have a good blend of it, because we focus on modern training ideas, which is like modern ways of stretching and weightlifting, weight resistance, and then still applying traditional style, you know, martial arts, which would be like punching, kicking, maneuvering, doing these kind of techniques, and still put it into a modern perspective and just kind of making it a little bit realistic. So I think it's a good blend between the stuff that's popular right now, which would be wushu, you know, the showmanship and flash of the wushu, and then you also got mixed martial arts, which is like the conditioning and the little more practicality of the arts. So I think our traditional style has a great blend of the two. A good benefit for competing in this is, well, I guess it's a chance to kind of show your style and show your tradition elsewhere. You know, just like different styles, different traditions. I mean, wushu moves and does stuff a lot completely different than what traditional style does. Traditional style, it's not as flashy, but could be pretty comparative. I mean, our style, Northern Shaolin, is pretty much the predecessor to what eventually evolved into wushu, and you see like these wushu styles, and you see a lot of stuff taken from traditional styles and put in there, and they just kind of added a new little twist to it. One of my favorite weapons is the Quan Dao. It's one of the weapons that I was just demonstrating earlier. Because I like it because it's different. I mean, when you go into a lot of martial arts styles, a lot of martial arts tournaments, they have a lot of weapons they have are like real little weapons. They have like little like sickles, little like kawas, and they have like nunchucks, and like a big weapon, a big kind of like, it's kind of like this shows, it kind of stands out from the crowd. So as I have these kind of weapons, like classical weapons, they're different because back they had a usefulness back in traditional China and stuff, but the classical weapons are just different. They're a lot more intimidating. They're a lot more different to use. They're a lot more viable.